It was a cold, windy morning in the forest. All the animals were hurrying to their warm homes. Nobody wanted to stay outside in the freezing wind. Henry the Hedgehog was gathering the last acorns before winter. His small paws worked quickly, filling his little basket. Suddenly, he heard a sound. A soft, desperate, chirping sound. "Help," the tiny voice called weakly. "Please, ... someone help me." Henry stopped and looked around carefully. There, beneath the old willow tree, was a small robin. Her wing was twisted at an odd angle. She couldn't fly. She was shivering in the cold wind, too weak to move. Henry's heart jumped with worry. "Oh no," he whispered, rushing toward her. The little robin looked up at him with frightened eyes. "I fell from my nest," she said, her voice trembling. "I can't fly back up. I can't move my wing, and it's getting so cold." Henry looked at her injured wing with concern. Then he looked up at the sky. Dark clouds were forming quickly. A storm was coming, a big, dangerous storm. "Don't worry," Henry said firmly. "I'll help you, I promise." But just as he said this, other animals passed by. Sammy the squirrel scurried past without stopping. "Sorry, no time," he called back. "The storm is coming and I need to secure my nest." Rosie the rabbit hopped by quickly. Henry tried to call out to her. "Rosie, can you help? This bird is hurt." Rosie glanced over but kept hopping. "I have 7 baby bunnies waiting for me," she said apologetically. "I have to get home before the storm. Maybe someone else can help." One by one, animals hurried past. Everyone had their own worries. Everyone had their own families to protect. Nobody stopped. Nobody helped. The little robin's eyes filled with tears. "Nobody cares," she whispered sadly. "I'm going to freeze out here all alone." Henry felt a deep pain in his chest. He looked at his basket of acorns. He looked at his own small burrow in the distance. He was cold too. He wanted to go home too. But then he looked at the robin's scared face, and he knew what he had to do. "I care," Henry said with determination. "And I'm not leaving you." "But Henry," the robin said weakly, "you're so small. How can you help me? You should save yourself." Henry shook his head firmly. "Being small doesn't mean I can't help," he said. "It just means I have to be creative." The wind grew stronger and colder. The first snowflakes started to fall. Henry worked quickly with his small paws. First, he gently checked the robin's wing. "It's not broken," he said with relief, "just sprained badly. You need rest and warmth." He gathered soft moss and dry leaves. He made a small, cozy nest right there under the willow tree. Carefully, so carefully, he helped the robin into the warm nest. Then Henry did something extraordinary. He took off his own small scarf. The scarf his grandmother had made for him, his most precious possession. Without hesitation, he wrapped it gently around the shivering robin. "But Henry," the robin protested, "now you'll be cold." "I have my spines to keep me a bit warm," Henry said. "You need it more than I do." But the storm was getting worse fast. Snow was falling heavily now. The robin was still too exposed to the harsh wind. Henry looked around desperately. Then he saw it, his basket of acorns, all the food he had collected for winter, all the food he needed to survive. Henry made a decision that showed the true size of his heart. He emptied all his acorns onto the ground near the robin. "Food for you when you're stronger," he said. Then he took the empty basket, and he placed it over the robin like a protective roof, shielding her from the snow and wind. "Henry, you gave me everything," the robin cried. "Your scarf, your food, your basket. What about you?" Henry smiled gently, though he was cold and tired. "You needed help," he said simply. "That's all that matters." For 3 long days, the storm raged. For 3 long days, Henry stayed with the robin. He kept her warm. He found bits of food for both of them. He told her stories to keep her spirits up. He never complained. He never left. On the 4th day, the storm finally ended. The sun came out, bright and warm. And something wonderful happened. The robin tried her wing carefully. It moved. Slowly at first, then stronger. "I can move it," she chirped with joy. "Henry, I can move my wing." By the afternoon, she could flutter a little. By evening, she could fly. She soared up to the willow branch, then swooped back down, landing gently in front of Henry. "You saved my life," she said, tears of gratitude in her eyes. "When everyone else passed by, you stopped. When everyone else said they couldn't help, you found a way. You gave me everything you had. Even though you're small, you have the biggest heart." Just then, a deep voice spoke from behind them. That was truly remarkable. Young Henry. They turned to see Bruno, the bear, the wisest animal in the forest. He had been watching everything. Bruno walked closer, his large paw carrying something. "Henry," he said warmly, "you taught us all a lesson. Kindness isn't about how big you are, or how strong you are, or how much you have. It's about having the courage to help when someone needs you, even when it's hard, even when it costs you something." Bruno placed a large sack in front of Henry. "The entire forest heard what you did," he explained. "Everyone felt ashamed that they walked by, so we all brought you gifts." Henry opened the sack with wonder. Inside were acorns, berries, warm blankets, and food, more than he had before. The robin flew to his shoulder. "You gave me everything," she whispered. and now everyone wants to give back to you. But Henry learned something even more valuable than the gifts. That night, as he sat in his warm burrow, he understood true kindness doesn't think about what it costs. It only thinks about what someone else needs. The reward isn't in what you get back, it's in the peace you feel in your heart, knowing you made a difference. From that day forward, Henry became known throughout the forest, not as the smallest animal, but as the one with the biggest heart. And whenever a young animal asked him why he helped that day, Henry would smile and say something simple but powerful. Because someone needed help, he would explain, and I could help. That's all the reason anyone ever needs. The robin became his closest friend forever, and every winter she made sure Henry never ran out of food. She brought him seeds and berries from her travels, but more importantly, she told everyone she met about the tiny hedgehog, who proved that the size of your kindness has nothing to do with the size of your body. Bruno the bear often shared Henry's story with young animals, teaching them that heroes don't always roar. Sometimes they're small and quiet. Sometimes they're cold and scared too, but they help anyway. Because that's what kindness is. Not helping only when it's easy, but helping especially when it's hard. And Henry, he continued being exactly who he was, small in size, but gigantic in heart, proving every single day that the smallest act of kindness can make the biggest difference in someone's life.